A mother captures a ghoulish face lurking behind her son. NASA footage shows this massive, disc-shaped object moving around a broken tether in space, and an outdoorsman films a massive bird creature in the forest. All this and more, these are unexplained events caught on camera that still have no answers. The caregiver was working with a patient who couldn't stand, but after hearing footsteps creeping through the house at night, she set up a camera and captured this. Apparently the woman stood there like that for over an hour. So this clip comes from TikToker Spread Love Not Ya Legs 22. She's an overnight caregiver who sleeps on the couch at a patient's place who can't walk. She kept waking up to sounds at the same time every night. They sounded like footsteps, so she decided to set up her camera one night to try and capture what was going on, and that's what she caught. The patient walking down the hallway and just standing there like that. That would have been my last day on the job. This clip was posted by a woman who's been experiencing some very strange and unsettling things in her home. Did you see that? When I first watched the clip, it looked like someone just ran into the room at the end of the hallway there, but that's not what happens at all. Take a look again. Yeah, that thing runs right through the wall. Notice how the frame pictures shake as well. And of course, the dogs are totally freaked out. That's what woke the woman up. But as always, what are your thoughts on this one? Share your thoughts down in the comments. In 1996, the space shuttle Columbia was part of an experiment called STS-75. The goal was to unreel a 12-mile long tether to generate electricity from the Earth's magnetic field. But as the tether reached its full length, something went wrong. It snapped. As the cable drifted away from the shuttle, NASA's ultraviolet cameras stayed locked on it. And that's when things got weird. Suddenly, the screen was filled with dozens of these massive, glowing disc-shaped objects. They seemed to be pulsing and maneuvering around the tether like they were investigating it. NASA's official explanation is that these were just small ice particles or debris floating close to the camera lens. They say the pulsing was just the camera struggling to focus, but there's a major problem with that debris theory. If you look closely at the footage, you can see these giant discs pass behind the tether. Remember, the tether was over 12 miles long and miles away from the shuttle at the time. For an object to pass behind it and still look that large on camera, it would have to have been absolutely massive. Some estimates put these discs at 2 to 3 miles wide. If they were just tiny ice crystals an inch from the lens, they would have appeared in front of the tether, not behind it. To this day, NASA stands by the space junk explanation, but for a lot of people, that explanation just doesn't add up. Ever heard of the mysterious sky trumpets phenomenon? Well, this video comes out of British Columbia, Canada. It was uploaded to the YouTube channel Kimberly Sovereign Alchemist back in August of 2013. Kimberly said she'd started filming right after waking up to the noise that morning. She also said this actually wasn't the first time she'd heard the sounds in Terrace, BC. The first time was June 19th, 2013, sometime around 9 to 9:30 in the morning, but she said it was way less intense. The second time was August 29th, 2013, around 7:30 a.m., and that's when she recorded. She woke up suddenly and immediately recognized the noise. It was the same sound, it was just louder this time. She jumped out of bed and started looking for her camera. When she got into the living room, her son was already awake and pretty shaken up by the noise. He told her that it woke him up as well and even shook his window. She ended up getting 3 clips in total, just under 5 minutes of footage. After it stopped, she uploaded everything and checked Facebook and saw that a bunch of people in the area were posting and hearing the same thing. She still doesn't know what the sound was, but she's glad she managed to catch it. That insane video was captured back in 2000. The footage comes from a guy named Evan Rourke, an amateur outdoorsman from Northern Ontario who spent a lot of time hiking and filming in remote areas. According to the story, this was recorded in September of 2000, just outside a logging trail west of Marathon, Ontario. Evan had gone off trail that afternoon to get a better vantage point over a stretch of dense forest that he hadn't explored before. He brought the camcorder mostly out of habit, recording bits and pieces of the trip. Before he started recording, he'd stopped after noticing movement deeper in the trees. At first he assumed it was a black bear. He didn't panic, he just kept his distance and watched, but then he noticed this glowing speck. So he went a little closer, and that's when he decided to start recording, and what he captured was this massive bird-like creature taking flight. What do you all think of this one? Genuine piece of insane cryptid footage, or is it just a hoax? What you're looking at here is, honestly, it's hard to even say. The person who posted it doesn't seem to know either. The clip was uploaded by a Reddit user named jturley85, who explained that his wife's coworker had gone hunting over the weekend. They brought a group of dogs with them, but at some point, 2 of the dogs ran off into the mountains. When they went after them, they eventually found both animals dead. They'd been torn apart. While trying to figure out what could have done that, they spotted something in the distance and recorded it through a scope. The uploader mentioned he tried enhancing the footage to make it clearer, but this was the best result he could get. As for what's actually in the video, it is not obvious. The figure appears to have unusually long, thin arms maybe, what looks like hair hanging off them. At first glance, it could be another hunter, but the proportions don't look quite right, a lot of commenters say. One guess was that it might just be someone wearing a sheet or some kind of camouflage, but considering the condition the dogs were found in, it does make the whole situation a lot creepier. This video comes from the Shanley Hotel in Napanook, New York. The security footage captured what looks like a cat walking into one of the rooms, room 13. There was no cat in the building at the time, mind you, and here's a clip of a strange shadowy shape running past the top of the stairs. The Shanley Hotel is known as one of the most haunted spots in the state. The land it sits on goes back to 1845, when the first hotel was built there. That one burned down about 50 years later. They rebuilt it, and eventually James Shanley bought it in 1906. He and Beatrice Rowley ran it, lived there, even got married there. At one point, the place was actually pretty lively with big events and stories of guests like Thomas Edison and Eleanor Roosevelt passing through. But the Shanley family went through a lot of tragedy. They had 3 kids. All 3 died young. On top of that, there's a story about a girl who fell into a nearby well and died, and Beatrice's sister, Esther, died in the hotel in 1918 from influenza while staying on the 2nd floor. Inside the hotel, visitors don't just say it feels haunted. People will report seeing full figures and old-style clothing moving through the hallways and rooms. Others mention hearing kids playing when there are no kids anywhere in the building. And some guests say they've actually felt something touch them at night while they're in bed, even though the room is supposedly empty. This is a story about a mom named Laura Watson who back in 2018 was out with her kids at Plessy Woods Country Park in the UK. She took what she thought was just a normal photo of her son standing by a tree, and well, later that night, she's going through the photos on her computer and notices something behind him that she swears was not there when she snapped the picture. She zooms in and there's this ghostly, ghoulish face lurking right behind her son. It even looks like it's placing its hand on his shoulder. It looks like a child to me, Laura said. I can see this face, and it looks like the hand is on my son's shoulder, which is very bizarre. She went on to say that she didn't really believe in paranormal stuff, but was still trying to make sense of what this was. People online immediately jumped to Photoshop claims, but she says that's not possible. Some people have said I must have Photoshopped it, but I wouldn't even have a clue how to do anything like that. It was literally taken on the phone. I'm rubbish with technology, she said. And she's confident nobody was behind her son while the photo was taken. This next clip allegedly captures 2 men trying to force a djinn out of a young girl. Her eyes roll all the way back into her head right before she lets out this sharp, aggressive, inhuman hiss. Now, if you aren't familiar with what a djinn is, we're talking about supernatural beings that go way back in Middle Eastern folklore. They aren't exactly the ghosts or demons you see in Western movies or stories. They're considered their own distinct type of spirit. According to ancient beliefs and texts like the Quran, jinns were made with free will, so they can be good, they can be evil, anywhere in between. Legends say they've got the power to shapeshift too, or even grant wishes, but in cases like this one, people believe they can latch onto a person, possessing them, which is what supposedly happened here. And finally, we're gonna finish off with a UAP. Nobody can seem to agree on what this thing is. The footage was uploaded to YouTube by Montana Mullet Militia, who wrote in the description that they were out coyote hunting that night when they caught this on camera. They mentioned it was around 37 degrees outside and the camera was set to white hot mode. So what you're seeing here is thermal footage. Small bright shapes scattered around there are believed to be coyotes, showing up white because they're warmer than the surrounding area. But then there's this flying object. Shows up much darker than everything else, which means it's colder than its surroundings. At first it looks like it's moving along the ground, almost like it's running, then not long after it seems to lift and move through the air. If it's an animal, why is it colder than everything else? And if it's not, well then what exactly are we looking at? Well, that's been the video. I will catch you, yes you specifically, in the next one.